Well, hello, folks. It's got to 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and I still just haven't had a chance to do the daily devotions until now. And so, in terms of mental health, today it's been quite a hairy day, but I thank God for His grace that helps me through all the time. Um, I thought I might share just a little bit of personal story for a moment. Um, I've talked to one or two people today who are, if you like, feeling quite stressed, feeling quite anxious, and for good reasons. They're having experiences just now that are causing them anxiety and causing them to be in some pain. And so their mental distress, if you like, is understandable. In terms of my own mental health, I tend to be a bit of a resilient so and so, really, who keeps going. And I can remember a few times in my life and ministry where I had a wall, let's call it that. We just moved months, about 2001, just within the one community, still ministering in the same church, but um, for some reason it just exhausted me, moving the house this time and getting set up in the new house. And I went through all the stuff you used to do in the ministry in September and October, and found myself getting into the beginning of November and just feeling for the first time in what was then about 7 or 8 years of ministry that I really did not want to be the minister. And I really wish I was packing shelves in Tesco's and that someone else had been preaching that Sunday. I remember sharing that with my superintendent at the time, Vernon Marsh, and Vernon's response was priceless. He said to me, is this the first time you felt this in 7 years of ministry? He was surprised it had taken 7 years, but it was the first time I'd sort of felt, I've left it all on the mat. I'm finished. I used to give talks to students when I was training people for the ministry about the rhythm of a church year, and that there are different times of the year. And the beginning of November is often one of them, after all the busyness of getting the church year up and running with all the different levels of church life and councils and meetings and committees, and also all the harvest stuff, and probably just getting through remembrance. And that Advent and Christmas is just around the corner, and you can hit a kind of a wall then. And also you get the far side of Easter, having had a busy Lent and all the church stuff again happening, all the business meetings happening in early Lent. And after Easter, when you should be saying Hallelujah, He's risen, like I've been doing this year, that's the last thing you feel like doing because you're exhausted. And it's a time in the year when you feel absolutely worn out. And so there's a rhythm to the church year. I also remember recently we went for Alison's birthday a couple of years back to Rome. There's a family, and it had been a plane, I think Ryanair or somebody, and the seats seemed to be particularly close together, and I was struggling to get air really on the plane. I was feeling quite claustrophobic, and as the plane went down, I found my balance was starting to get affected in my ears. And later on that day, I wasn't feeling at all well, and we went down into the underground in Rome. And for the first time in my life, I had what I'd call a panic attack, because um, I suddenly was aware of feeling dizzy. I was suddenly aware of feeling that there was a lot of concrete above me, between me and the road. And if it was all to collapse, I'd be killed. And it just was a very disorientating experience. And I remember saying to Alison or to Tim or somebody, gosh, I think I'm having a panic attack. This is what a panic attack feels like. But I say that, those are two times that come to mind that I felt particularly stressed. And there's other times the family will tell you that I can be a bit fractious at times when I'm very busy. But there's a difference between busy and having a very full life, and having the sort of mental health issues that are life affecting and life limiting, and have such an impact on us that we just can't function well at all. And I have to confess, because I'm probably endowed with quite a bit of resilience, and I've got many years of getting back up again. I have to confess, I haven't always been that sympathetic towards those who have significant mental health issues. Um, And I know that over the last 10 years, I reckon it's about 10, maybe 15 years, where the mental health agenda has come to the fore a lot more, and that we're talking about it in public discourse a lot more, and we're much more aware of it. And that's true of the church, and it's true also of the wider community in which we live. So I'm very aware that that's become much more a topic of conversation and much more recognised and talked about reality for many people. And yet I confess to you that I haven't always been the most patient or tolerant or understanding, compassionate, empathetic, anything like that when it comes to areas of mental health. And yet, not only my own experiences in recent years, but also Matt Haig's book, Reasons to Stay Alive, that I read about 2 years ago, when a member of staff I was looking after at the time, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, a member of staff I was looking after at the time was struggling with mental health issues. I read it at that time to try and get some understanding of what burnout and depression were really about and not coping. I read Matt Haig's book. I also read some of Simon Sinek's material and watched his video where he has a good old rant about millennials. I'll put those on today as resources for you to look at afterwards. And they started giving me a new understanding of maybe this aspect that I wasn't aware of before and appreciating before. It's interesting that the Archbishop of Canterbury has openly spoken, Justin Welby has openly spoken about his own wrestles with depression and his own experience of it. And also in this week of mental health awareness, he's spoken out very strongly to the government over the weekend, urging the government to tackle mental health illness that might be caused by or exacerbated by the COVID-19 pandemic and the lockdown that associates with it. So yeah, we're into Mental Health Awareness Week, and the Mental Health Awareness Foundation have a national campaign. And this year again, and today again, instead of the daily recording, the daily music. I'm going to give you a couple of links to videos that might help us on this. But they're talking this year about there's a very simple thing of showing kindness, both the good it does you in your own mental health to be expressing gratitude and to be showing kindness, and also the impact it has upon the person to which you're showing the kindness or the generosity towards. So the theme is kindness, and they unpack that a little bit by talking about the difference that small acts of kindness can make. Small acts of kindness. I was talking to somebody on the phone this afternoon who's been supporting a neighbour who's been going through a really rough time with their own physical health, waiting for an operation, couldn't have the operation. So they've been serving meals and doing shopping for this person. And the person has become more and more demanding in terms of what they expect as the neighbour. And it's become a real struggle for them to be able to meet those demands as having an impact on themselves. Now, showing kindness sometimes is easy, sometimes loving your neighbour is downright hard. And in that conversation, it was clearly becoming very difficult. But the difference that small acts of kindness make. One of my favourite scenes, and again, I'll ask Richard to put it up on the website for you today, is in Evan Almighty, that film where it looks at God working with Evan, God played by Morgan Freeman. And at the end of the story, he talks about the ark, and he puts ARK, capital letters, on the sand and the ground, and unpacks it as the acts of random kindness that every one of us can be involved in. So I got to thinking then a little bit about how do we promote mental well-being, and what part has that got to do with us living out our life as Christian disciples in the light of the resurrection and empowered by the Spirit. And it's interesting that Matthew chapter 7 and verse 12, the golden rule, if you like, do to others what you would have them do to you. We're called to do to others as we would have them do unto us. Treat people the way we'd want to be treated ourselves. More than that, Galatians 5 and 22, talking about the fruit of the Spirit. What's the fruit of the Spirit? It's the evidence, the visible manifestation or evidence of how God by his Spirit is at work within us. And one of those is kindness. So if you like kindness, if it's not, even if it's difficult or not natural to us ourselves, if we're of a narcissistic personality or whatever, where we're gravitating towards ourselves, it is a gift or an expression of the reality of God in our lives, that the Spirit overflows from our lives in acts of kindness. Ephesians 4 and 32. Ephesians 4:32. Be kind and compassionate to one another. And when the love of God gets a grip of us, 1 Corinthians chapter 13, the wonderful passage about love and the love of God and how it's demonstrated amongst us. 1 Corinthians 13 and verse 4, love is kind. So part of my loving my neighbour is showing kindness. So the question is, how do I love my neighbour, Lord? How will I love this neighbour? Show them kindness. How will I love my neighbour who is struggling with their mental health? Show them kindness. More than that, not only we commanded, directed, be kind to each other. Colossians chapter 3 and verse 12, clothe yourselves, put it on, kindness. Clothe yourself with kindness. Wear it. Let it be the thing that people see from you. I put it another way, as my favourite writer, Brené Brown, writes, kindness is a practice, just as gratitude is a practice. We sometimes talk about adopting the gratitude attitude in a very American sort of way, but it's not an attitude, it's actually a practice. It's an intentional doing of it each day. So I guess the question I have for you at the end of this short reflection today on mental health, in the middle of mental health awareness, admitting that I don't always get it myself and haven't always responded well to those whose mental health is something that they struggle with regularly. And a big part of being them is a struggle with their mental health. Is to ask myself, who do I need? Which neighbour? Who do I need to show kindness to today? Who do I need to show kindness to today? Who do I need to show kindness to in the next hour? In the next hour? That's a challenging question. Dare you set your alarm on your watch and say, when the beeper goes every hour, thank God for the blessings of the last hour, and who might I show the kindness of God to in the next hour? Mental Health Awareness Week. Going to finish with a short prayer. So, a prayer I found on the internet just now. Let me be done with fault finding and leave off self-seeking. May I put away all pretense and meet others face to face without self-pity and without prejudice. May I never be hasty in my judgment, but generous. Let me take time for all things. Make me grow calm, serene, gentle. God bless you. No song for you today, but some video clips that are worth, and links that are worth looking at. God bless and have a great day. And tomorrow, Thursday, we have our Chair of District, Jill Newton, sharing with us from the months in York, leading us in our daily reflections and devotions. And then on Friday, it is the Reverend Pam Webster on the circuit here, supernumerary on the circuit here, who again gets to share with you some of her reflections. on another important thing that's happening this weekend. Tomorrow's Ascension Day, which is a big deal for us. We celebrate that Christ is risen, that he is exalted, that he is at the right hand of the Father, that he is seated in power. And on Sunday, not only is it the Sunday between Ascension and Pentecost, but it is also a day when we celebrate our own origins as the Methodist movement within Christianity, and the life-changing experience that John Wesley had at what he called his heart strangely warmed in 1738 on the 24th of May. But on Friday, Pam will be leading us in some reflections on that. And then over the weekend, again, I just encourage you to go on cliffcollege.act.uk, Cliff College's website, and look for their festival, because the festival, of course, can't happen in terms of us all physically coming to the site at Cliff College, but it is having a whole weekend of online resources and live, both pre-recorded and live, so that even though you're not able to meet physically, you are able to meet from your own home, from your own living room, from your own study, and engage in some real good, encouraging, upbuilding material that's been put together for us. So, God bless you all and have a great weekend.